broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I love to just look over and see you guys dancing. Hello, everyone. I'm Tiona Hobson. Welcome to the Vampire Diaries after show on AFTERBUZZ TV, Season 7, Episode 13, This Woman's Work. In case you guys didn't know, this is Rob Schneider's daughter. Singing right now, not Sam, who's sitting next to me. Sam D123 in the house. And across the table we have Katie Campbell.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Katie EE Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's Campbell.
And Jordana Morfin.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Jordana_Morfin.
Sorry, I was still singing.
I saw that.
I
like that.
All right, guys. So we're in a good mood right now. It's Sunday night. We're talking about Vampire Diaries.
Yes.
How did you guys feel about tonight's episode?
So good. Yeah. I absolutely loved this episode. It's just so much happened. I felt happy for once in a really long time.
Yeah. I love this episode too. I love this show so much. I've been obsessing over it lately that I started rewatching the whole series again. It's just great. It's a great show.
Yeah, and I feel like I was like, okay, guys, we're back. This other crap that we've been seeing, I mean, we're still going to see it, but I think that we found our footing again. I just don't know how they lost it exactly because we started the season off not so bad, but then it got weird, but I think now we're back.
Sorry, I just banged my knee on the table. I'm sorry,
okay?
Sam.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, well, it's weird because we started the whole thing with this heretic problem, and it kind of is like the heretics are on our side.
Yeah,
so there had to be some kind of other big bad thing coming in.
Yeah, I had this revelation when I was watching this episode about the heretics. And I feel that it's not that they were bad people, it's just that they put their trust in wrong people. So everything that they believed, they honestly believed was true because Julian was telling them it was this way.
Right.
So had they not gotten in the path of Julian, then they're good people, ultimately, who just, it's like a cult. You know, they're good people who are brainwashed by this one bad dude.
Which, by the way, I was really happy to see. That's the reason why he was running.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why he killed the baby, which is sad, and you shouldn't kill a baby. But, you know, like, that's what was happening. We finally got that answer.
So let's get into it. Let's start with our flashbacks of Rayna's backstory. We get to see how she becomes one of the 5 of the Brotherhood. One of the Brotherhood of 5. That was confusing
Brotherhood
to say.
of the
I had forgotten that whole, I was like, oh, that's another thing that they just threw in there a couple years ago, and I was like, all right, guys, sure. But they brought it back,
They
which
brought
is
it
cool.
back. Full circle moment. So we start off in 1842, Louisiana. Not a good time. And we see her out in the woods with her dad, who is one of the Brotherhood of 5. Of the 5, whatever. And Rayna really wants to learn how to fight. She wants to be involved, and her dad's just like, look, if I do my job right, you won't have to do any of this. How did you guys feel about seeing her so young and so interested in this world already?
That's something that I was thinking right away because her dad was saying, you know, you won't have to deal with this if I do my job right. But she was so determined. And there was just something about her that really wanted to be part of it. And it was just, I don't know, it was a little strange.
I felt like it was okay that she wanted to be a part of it because I just was thinking about Supernatural and about how the boys wanted to be a part. Well, Dean wanted to be a part. I know that's not this show, but it just reminded me of like the want to hunt. Because that's what we see the boys do in Supernatural is hunt the demons, you know? So I was on board with her thinking that, although I was like, she's so young, she shouldn't be wanting to kill.
Yeah, I am blanking on the time period as far as those Catherine flashbacks. Do you guys remember what was 1600s?
1600s.
Yeah. It just like, it reminded me of something very similar, and it made me feel familiar with this, but also annoyed, because I'm just like, you know what, stop. Like, this almost seems like what we saw, but she had to kill her father. We understand why she's so upset, but how can you carry that kind of grudge with you forever?
Well, I mean...
Well, what we did see was when they were doing that whole spiritual thing, and then, you know, she saw everyone killing themselves for her, and then she drank the tea, and then he was saying, you know, this is so you can keep on living and whatnot.
So my question to that was, is that how many lives she gets? Is how many people who sacrificed themselves for her?
So.
It might
so how
be,
many people were there?
There's a lot of people there.
I counted like 7, 8.
I don't think there was more than 10, that's for sure.
No, 7, 8,
But
or
at
9.
the same time, it's been so
maybe
long.
she's like a cat with 9 lives.
Yeah. And I forget who was tweeting that to us, but I think that that's a good assumption about how many lives she'll have, because at some point we need our beloved vampires to kill her, and she needs to die somehow, so maybe it is on that last life that she's linked to.
Hopefully it is.
Hopefully. Yeah. So we see her go through the ceremony, but we also see her dad fighting Julian, and her walking up and finding that, and Julian compelling her to kill her father, because one of the important things we learned is that how the sword works. Her sword is, our Julian, if he were to kill someone of the Brotherhood, then he would be marked himself. And so instead of, because he's a little not good person, I was going to say a bad word.
Bitch.
That was nicer than the word I was going to use. So since he's that person, he compels her to kill her own father. And you can see that she's scared. She doesn't really know what's happening. She's like, Dad, I can't stop. And he's just telling her, I'll always be with you fighting. Remember that it's him who's doing this and not you. So, Julian, you thought you were doing a solid because you're not being cursed. But in actuality, you're fueling her vengeance for her father's death through all this time.
And isn't she now part of the Brotherhood? So
Yeah, and now she's part of the...
So either way,
he's
Julian, you're in trouble, yeah.
Yeah. But then in this ceremony, we see them all kill themselves. She takes a drink, and it's so that no magic can touch her. So witches can't help out right now, which we saw later on when Bonnie tries to help. But it's just all this little information. I paused my TV at least 10 times tonight just because I was trying to write down everything that they're saying, because I'm like, oh my gosh, all the answers are coming out right now, and I have to write down everything that happens. But yeah.
And speaking about how many lives she has how many has she died in now? Like when she was thrown, when she finally got to stab Julian by throwing the sword, right before that, was she dead?
No.
When she was
I think she was just
out?
knocked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was just
But when she rises from the phoenix, that's death.
That was a death.
And being reincarnated.
Okay.
A bunch of people in the chat have said there was 8 people.
Okay.
So I don't know
Okay.
if that includes, though, her life plus 8.
Plus 8, so that's 9. We're
Like
back
a
to the
cat.
cat.
Oh my God, Catherine. Yes.
Catherine, cat, 9 lives. She looks like the doppelganger of Elena and Catherine. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Okay, as much as a lot of us, I think, I'm not going to speak for everybody, we've been frustrated with this season. I still love these writers, and I have faith in them, and I don't think they would just bring a girl on that looks like Nina Dobrev to be like, ooh, that's funny. No, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like Rayna and I like this whole story, but I'm also a little bit, I don't know if hurt is the right word, that she kind of looks like Elena and that they bring it up, because I don't want her to be replaced. I'm a little sad about it.
Well, I am
She'll
too.
never replace Elena.
Right, but just like coming into that arena, kind of, I don't know how I feel about it yet.
And it's because I know you're rewatching it now, and I'm about to start as well rewatching, and it's going to bring out a lot of emotions, and I understand where you're coming from on that.
So one of the things that they said during the ceremony, is that they were linking her spirit to her weapon. So does that mean in order to destroy her, you have to figure out how to destroy
The sword?
the sword?
I think
like
so.
destroy the sword, destroy the person who holds it.
Magic can't affect it, so magic probably can't affect the sword either.
But
Right?
She needed that back.
yeah, she was like, she was thirsty for that sword. She was like, I need this now, like, don't play around with it, didn't leave her side again.
Yeah.
But we do see her throw it at Julian, like 1903 now. We find out how Beau lost his ability to stop because he was singing. I was like, wait, what? Beau's singing right now. This is beautiful. Just like they talked about how he has a beautiful singing voice.
I feel really bad for Beau. He might be the only heretic that I've kind of been feeling bad about the whole time. You know, they've toyed with us a little bit about Nora's temper and Mary Louise's little attitude problem, and Valerie in the beginning wasn't sure if she was going to be good or not. He was
the only, solid
I feel so bad for him.
Poor guy.
do now, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I hope he's in a better place.
But we see the first time that she, because she slices his neck, that is now he's marked. We see that Julian's been marked. But this is when I had that revelation about the heretics. Nora and Mary Louise, even Mama Salvatore, not marked at all. So the fact that they're running from this woman is all because of Julian, because they put their faith in this guy who's supposed to be charming and all this stuff, and they believe him, so their lives aren't actually in danger. If they had just left Julian, they would have been fine. They never would have had to run away from the Huntress at all. But because they put their faith in Julian, they're now kind of looped in with him.
Well, see, and Stefan said it's all his fault, and that's why he killed him last episode. So, goodbye.
Which we didn't really see, we didn't really see any mention of, we had a mention of him because Bonnie came over and fills Damon in on everything that happened the night before, while also discovering that he had a little tryst with a little hussy named Crystal with a K.
With a K.
Yeah.
No offense to crystals out there with a K, because every crystal I know I think spells it with a K, so I don't have anything against you guys.
And they're usually strippers, but we love them. We really do. But did this not remind you so much of Damon season 1?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it reminds me a bit of Isabel. Like, I want them to, renaissance this show. Bring back the love and passion that season 1 had somehow. That's what I want. I feel like we got a little taste of that. I want to see more.
Okay. How did you feel about his little...
I thought Bonnie was hilarious in these scenes. She was funny, and I really love their friendship. And I don't know, I'm torn. I'm a little bit... Elena said to go and live your life, so I'm not mad at him about it. And he thought she was dead. But I still am kind of like, oh God, you can't replace Elena. I don't know if I'll ever be okay with it. I think he just gotta force me to watch it, and then I'll maybe start getting on board.
I like what Bonnie said, because it's something that we said last week. This is what Elena told you to do, so I'm not gonna be mad at you for living your life, because Elena left specific instructions for you to have your
it's
fun.
not a bad thing.
Of course, at the time, she doesn't know that what Stefan knows and believes to be true, that he has killed her best friend for good. So kind of convenient that somehow Enzo knows this information, because him and Tyler, we find out, are in talks, I guess.
I just hate how the way he played that, though,
Enzo?
How Enzo, he was like, well, if you don't give me the sword, I'm going to tell Bonnie.
Well, he was being forced by Rayna.
I know, but still.
We do find out he's being forced by Rayna, but ultimately... We can jump ahead to what happens. We find out why Stefan's being chased by Rayna now, because he's been marked, and it's ultimately Enzo's fault that she got her sword back, that if he hadn't used this as leverage over Damon wasn't going to give him the sword.
Yeah. But if I was Damon, I would have just been like, all right, here's the deal, Bonnie, this is what happened, because you don't want to give this sword around. We don't.
But it's a scary
sword.
I have a question, though. Okay, so when Rayna stabs Stefan, she's thinking she's about to stab Damon, and when she stabs Stefan, she has this look on her face like, oh crap, to me. Like, she didn't, she specifically wanted to stab Damon and not Stefan. And it kind of was like, oh shoot.
Does she know? Exactly who they are, or does she just want to kill every vampire?
I think she knows more than she says.
Oh, really?
Possibly.
Because I thought it was just hunting vampires, like any vampire that comes along her way.
Well, because they said that once you're marked with her mark, she comes after you, and any vampire who gets in her way of getting to you. So Damon has called her out and is fighting her. So I took it as, look, Stefan, you haven't done anything to me for me to want to have stabbed you. I wanted to stab the guy who was just trying to kick my ass. Basically.
I was so upset for Stefan in this moment. I was so upset. I love him so much, and I feel so bad for him that he is, you know...
It's always him.
Yeah, it's always him. It really is. And Caroline said that. And I felt bad that he couldn't be by Caroline's side. I actually teared up. I cried a couple times in this episode. And at that moment, I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, we all knew Stefan was going to... This is going to happen to him at some point. But, oh, my heart.
Yeah.
It was sad.
And I wanted to not yell at Bonnie because I love Bonnie, but... Because of what she said to Stefan and kicking him out, like, your brother needs you, go. And then for that to be the result of it, and we see how he's not with Caroline, and it was heartbreaking all over the place. I don't want to jump too far ahead because I do want to talk about stuff before we get there, but it was heartbreaking to see that. Because I really...
Well, you want to know what? I won't get ahead, but I just want to make a statement. I think the writers are trying to mess with our emotions, and they're doing these flash forwards, but at the end of the day, none of us know what's going on at all, and they could completely throw us a curveball, and, you know, Caroline and Stefan could be well in love and, like, sneaking off at little cottages and doing it. Like, who knows? I don't... At this point, like, they kind of have lost my trust. They have.
Wow. What if... No, I'm sorry. The gasp was, what if, like, she's going to see Stefan in New Orleans in 3 years, because that's where he's hiding out.
No, because he's already, at this point, he's already been captured at the studio from Matt.
I was just going off of your idea.
Yeah.
Like going to see each other.
I definitely thought about that as well. I was like, maybe she's going to see Stefan, but nope. Not a chance.
If Roxy was here, she would be humping the chair.
So I do want to talk about Caroline. So last week we saw her body was desiccating because of these siphoning babies that are living inside her. This week, we shut down a whole hospital wing, compel some doctors to perform a C-section. That doesn't work because the babies don't want to leave the magic that they're getting fed.
So creepy. Like, the way that just happened when they were trying to get in there, and it just kind of like... I don't even know what I was expecting, but I was freaking out, and I was like, what if these babies are like... Obviously, they're gonna look normal, but I don't know. I just felt like if they did come out, they were gonna be like... somewhat a little crazy because they don't want to live.
Aliens.
That's exactly what I was. I was nervous.
I'm a little nervous about them still, you know, growing up and stuff. But I started thinking too about the Gemini Coven. Have they always been siphoning? Because they've been in witch bodies before, like human bodies. You know, these twins, this twin line. Have they always been trying to siphon the magic from these witches?
Well, and maybe this will create a new kind of line of witches / vampires that they can break the curse of the Gemini Coven and having to kill each other. Maybe they don't need to anymore.
That would be nice.
Well, there's
I don't like that they have to kill each other.
I don't either. There's something definitely different about these two girls, and I know they seemed evil and they were coming out, but they're so freaking cute.
They were adorable.
They're so adorable.
And we see in the future that they're cute. I think they seem harmless, and I am not down to turn these little girls into murderers.
But scary movies always use really cute, sweet, innocent little girls to be like the psychopath, so... Not saying that's where we're going, but don't believe a child's innocence all the time.
Maybe they're not like psycho murderers, but maybe they just don't know how strong they are, or, you know.
Well, that's like in the Twilight books. They do that. Children that are, you know, turned into vampires at a young age, that kind of thing, which is kind of similar. They're reckless and they need to be killed because they cannot control themselves. Yeah.
Did you guys not read Twilight?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I know the T word is like frowned upon here, but
I'm sorry, I'm not into Twilight.
I'm gonna bring it up again because of this birth scene. I mean, it was like very similar to the scene in Twilight when Bella gave birth. It was definitely similar.
Pregnancy thing kind of was.
Well, that pregnancy was let's just not even get into that one.
What, Twilight?
That was gross and scary.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like Haley's in the originals, a vampire with a human, and anyways, we're not talking about Twilight on this show. But I do want to talk about, so they have to enlist the help of the heretics to try to draw the babies out by using magic. Like, hey, come to this magic over here and stop using that magic over there.
It's like they have magic catnip. Like,
they're like, here, little kitty, I got some magic for you. Come out. Did you guys trust that Nora, Mary Louise, and Beau would be good because Alaric's on the phone like, wait a second. Why are heretics surrounding my kids?
I did, and that's what I thought is interesting, is that we started out this season hating these heretics and being scared of them, and now they're our friends, and I trust them. Although they still have tempers, some of them, but I trusted that they would help.
I exactly the same feeling. When we saw this whole thing happening, and then obviously when, Bo started bleeding, and Valerie just wanted to stay. It's like, it's still hard. You guys know that I've liked her, but it's just like still like, it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just kind of hard to see her saying like, oh, I want to stay. They deserve a chance. And you're like, well, that's so lovely of you. But at the same time, I'm like, is there something in the back of your head?
Is she doing it for Stefan?
Are you doing this? Yeah, because Stefan was standing right there, listening to everything.
I think I actually picked up on this. I think she's doing it because she lost the baby. She lost her baby back in the day. So it's as though she has a connection somehow to these babies, because she wants to save them like her child was not able to be saved.
I can see that.
And that's why the writers are geniuses, because you could look at it that way. You could look at it that she's helping Stefan. We don't know. Could go
We don't
any
know.
way.
And I hate, but Sam put this in my head, so I'm thinking of Twilight right now. And I can't remember her name in the books, but Nikki Reed, a.k.a. Ian's wife, played a character who wanted nothing to do with Rose, wanted nothing to do with Bella, and then Bella got pregnant, and she was like, the only thing I wanted as a human was a family, and for this. So then she became nice to Bella when she was pregnant and helped protect her and helped her get through the birth and everything. And that's what Valerie's story kind of reminds me of, like Sam said, she lost her chance and she didn't have that opportunity. So now she's trying her best to make sure that she's not around to watch someone else lose a child.
And now she has one of the Salvatore brothers as a husband.
But there's also 2 babies, so maybe she's just like, you know what? You guys put me through a lot. I'm going to take one. You keep one. Peace.
Like, I mean, she could try to kidnap a baby. But
I do like the way she's been acting, though. It's just, I really like it, and since we have seen the flash forwards, I really just don't. I hope it's not, because of Stefan. Like, oh, I'm doing all this because of Stefan. Because I do like the way she's acting towards them right now.
Do you want them to be together?
No, I don't want them to be together. That's the thing.
Yeah, you want her to be doing it out of the kindness of
her
heart.
Yeah. And that's why I'm hoping that it's what you're saying, and it's because she lost her baby, and that, I'm hoping that's the route.
Well, I think the conversation she had with Nora, when Nora's like, come on, they could kill you. She was just, it seems as though it's unfinished business to her to have a baby be born healthy. And like, I think she also feels guilt that like she let whatever happened to her, when Julian beat her. It wasn't her fault, but she probably feels some guilt about it. So it makes sense to me, that part.
It does. But what unfortunately happens is that Rayna shows up. And because we know this because Bo's scar bursts open, which means that she's near. They run outside. Bo, unfortunately, does not make it.
I knew it.
I was so sad. She even burned the body. My question, though, was, since no one else inside that hospital had a mark, why did she have to still go inside?
Yeah.
Everyone here's done.
And especially since, she killed him.
Skedaddle, you killed the guy who you came for. Julian isn't here. He has a mark. No one else there had a mark.
How does she know? Like, how does she know? Is it just the sword is like
they
leading
said
her?
that the sword, once someone is marked by it, sorry, I wrote this down. It says when it draws blood from a vampire, it will aid in their destruction.
Oh, yeah.
And it will guide you to them, basically.
I also think, not to get into predictions, but I just think that she definitely has some tie to the Petrovas or something, the Salvatores. Like, it's not just coincidental that she so happens to be there to hunt down the people that she wanted to in the past. Like, I think this might have been a thing that she has been, finally waiting for to get to.
Maybe. It was just weird.
It was just so sad. And I know to backpedal just a little bit, because I know we talked about Rayna's big fight with Damon and Stefan already, so we know what happens there. But before that happens, to try and ease the situation after the heretics leave and Valerie stays, Stefan does the cutest thing, cutest Steroline moment. that I was so happy about. He, you know, he does the thing where he goes in her head and he takes her on a date to relax and kind of distract her from
with the French fries.
With the French fries, and it was their last date together because by the time she wakes up, he's been marked and on the run, and he can't come back to her.
I got teary-eyed.
I know. I
So
had
sad.
already watched the episode, but I rewatched it here with Jordana, and I kept on looking at her like when and she would be like,
Cry.
I'm like, come on, do it, and I'm like, yes, he's crying. No, but it was. I when I watched it, I was like, this just can't be good. We don't exactly know what's going to happen, but this is a goodbye.
Yeah. You don't get to have those happy moments on this show without it leading to something horrible.
Well, without it tearing your heart out of your chest.
Yes.
That's what the show does to
Good
you.
man, Stefan is.
It made me sad just good man, right? It made me sad though, just watching her in the hospital, and she's like, "I'm lonely."
It broke my heart.
It was just so sad. And when she says it's always you, you know, it always has to be you.
And she doesn't have her mom.
No
She
one.
doesn't have
She has
Elena.
no one.
She has Bonnie, thank God.
Bonnie wasn't even there at that point.
Gosh, another crying moment, guys. I'm about to cry right now. Speaking of moms, when the babies are born,
I was crying.
and Alaric names the babies after Joe, and then
Liz.
after
Oh, my
Sheriff
face.
Forbes.
Oh my God, forget
my gosh.
Right when
I was
heard
like,
it,
oh
Liz
my
there.
God, yes, Alaric and Caroline, be happy with your little family.
I'm just like, run. Take them and
Run.
run.
Take them and run. Just go
That's what
somewhere and
Alaric
be
wants to
happy.
do.
But with Caroline?
Well, hey,
no,
you
let's
never
take
know.
the babies and run
Now-
and get them out of harm's
In that
way.
moment,
In that
I
moment,
wanted Caroline to be with him, but I mean, I just come from the Steroline moment, and I definitely want her to be there. I want Caroline with everyone. In my mind, Caroline's with like 3 different guys.
I have
so-
something important I really want to say. I love all of your guys' the fans' comments and questions, but they say it's very creepy about the Alaric and Caroline thing, but I'm sorry, it's not creepy about Stefan and Damon hooking up with a 17-year-old, 16-year-old. I mean, like, that's hundreds of years.
Yeah, Alaric's what, like
8?
7 or 8 years older than Caroline, max? I mean,
not bad.
technically
Come on.
the other vampires are
Probably
much
the
older
most
than him.
appropriate relationship
Of
that
the
could
whole
happen.
series.
Yeah, and I don't think it's inappropriate in the least. Okay, he was her teacher. He was young. They're not in high school anymore.
I'm just saying that I had a lot of teachers in high school who were right out of college. So if I'm 16 at the time and they're 22, that's really 6 years different. So like, I wasn't trying to date any of my teachers, but if later on in life you're out of the school setting and a 6-year difference in the real world isn't that big of a deal, but when you're a senior in high school and like a 7th grader, it's a huge difference, you know?
Yeah.
So out of this, and Caroline is a very mature person, she's also dead as a vampire, so I don't look at the age of these characters to be like, that's creepy.
Me either.
Yeah.
Because everyone's pretty much dead. If it's creepy, Alaric wants to date a dead girl. That's kind of creepy.
I think
Right?
this was the part, like that moment was kind of like the starting point where, I think I've said it before, but after I watched this, I think this is actually the starting point now where things are going to start to happen with Alaric and with
They keep
Caroline.
giving us little moments.
But now that Stefan is gone,
I just I'm
and she's alone.
So sad.
So sad. And then you also are left with now Damon, who is always a loose cannon. And you never know how a traumatic experience is going to affect his mood or
He's
behavior.
a baby.
He is.
Sick of it.
Like, I mean, you do have to kind of baby him just because you never know what side of him you're going to get. But he is very adamant that he wants to make this right for his brother. And that he will do everything in his power to make sure he makes this right. He finds out from Enzo that Elena's body is actually still alive. He just saw what he wanted to see because Enzo and Tyler have mutual friends, and so
That's weird.
it creeps me out that
was weird,
Enzo
too.
knows where Elena's body is because we never know what side Enzo's playing. He's playing for himself. And he's like, she's in New York with my friends. They're taking very good care of her. What does that mean?
Yeah, who's Is Enzo
Who are these
working
friends?
with the vampire hunter type people?
Yeah,
and
because
is
why
Tyler
did he want Rayna in the first place? Because we saw he clearly was gonna sedate her and take her somewhere before she just jumped through the glass and escaped.
Or did he want Rayna to? Was he thinking maybe I can get Rayna to kill Julian because of the whole Lily thing? So then she'll be on my side because I'll help her and she won't kill everybody else.
There's a
that's
history.
delusional.
I can see it.
There's a history that those two have, and I know that we'll with Enzo and Rayna, and I know pretty sure we'll see flashbacks, but we don't know why he's connected to her or when or where, but there is a story that is going to be told, I think.
Sorry, the way you just said that reminded me of like Taken. It's like, I don't know where you are, but I've got a special set of skills.
Could that
and
be
I
like,
will find you.
That should be Rayna's right now. But just with Liam Neeson, like in the beginning.
Rayna needs Liam Neeson to come and help her. Not that I want all her vampires to die, but that would just be... Someone should write a fan fiction about that. Got the idea from here first. I want a co-writing credit on it. So now we get to the part of the episode where it's 3 years flash forward. And Caroline is on the phone with Alaric. He's like, you guys okay? We hear mommy
Oh my god.
in the background. She's like, yeah, we're on the 20. What about Stefan? Should I go back for him?
Still
And he's like,
cares.
nope, just go. Don't turn back. And little girl's like, mommy, where are we going? She's like, we're going to New Orleans to see an old friend of mommy's. What?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry,
Clear
I
a
was just-
line.
Okay, new dad. Just kidding.
There are so many ways that this could go, and I feel like that scene just leads us right into predictions, and I'll talk about some news and gossip stuff after we do predictions. How about that?
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so next week we know we get the crossover event. Something that I mentioned on the originals panel predictions that we did just before this show is that Caroline is now 3 years in the future, saying she's going to New Orleans to see an old friend. Clearly, we all think it's Klaus, but is the originals going to now time hop to 3 years for her to meet up with him? Because the originals, from what I understand, is on our timeline right now. So for her to be going there 3 years in the future to see Klaus would mean that, one, he's survived what's going on that storyline right now, and two, that it's now 3 years ahead on the originals.
Which it's not, because
Because next week on the episode of the originals, it's all about Stefan being in town in the present day, trying to lure Rayna away from everyone.
Wait, okay, I'm sorry, that's for the originals preview? Or no,
was
the
it
Vampire Diaries?
The Vampire Diaries preview shows Stefan going to New Orleans to lure Rayna away from...
Yeah. And in the originals preview, we see whatever's going on.
We didn't see anything. It didn't even say crossover event in the originals preview, but it said it in the Vampire Diaries one.
It just shows, but it kind of shows... It implies that it's what's going on right now in the originals is what's going to be happening next week.
There's been a lot of stuff I have not watched this week of the originals. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I would not be surprised. It would piss me off if they didn't tie the time together. 3 years, 3 years. That's the only way they can do this. Unless they're going to be weird and sloppy about it, but
unless we're seeing stuff from present day that's happening in New Orleans, and then this 3 years later thing, because the 3 years laters on Vampire Diaries don't always link up from week to week. That means next week we don't necessarily have to see 3 years in the future of Caroline arriving in New Orleans. It could happen 4 episodes from now or whenever.
Someone named Ahmed Quamam. I'm sorry, I totally butchered that. But thank you so much for this interesting information. He said, and I just lost it, but basically it was that where's it? Klaus will be in New Orleans in 3 years. I have special information.
What is that?
I don't know. Maybe he does.
It says will not be in New Orleans.
No, it says will be.
It says will not be.
Oh shit, it does.
There's a not
Sorry.
right there. But that's what I'm saying. Part of
who else could she...
I don't know who else she would be seen, but I think it's too obvious to be Klaus, and that it's set up in a way to make people think that's who it is, but it's not actually Klaus. She's going to see in 3 years.
Haley? Could it be Haley?
Could be Haley. Could be Tyler.
I was thinking Tyler.
Tyler, yeah.
But we saw in a 3 years forward of Tyler, but I don't know if it said where he was, and I know that the chat and Twitter will correct me on this. But besides that, any other predictions?
Yeah, I think that Rayna, it's no coincidence that she looks like Elena and all the doppelgangers, and there will either be a romantic tie between one of the brothers, and I'm kind of thinking that it might be a Stefan thing, that she might spare him for love. I don't know. But I also think we will get some backstory to tie her into the Petrova family.
In the previews, was Tyler being a wolf and Mary Louise was getting shot? Is that what that looked like?
What?
I think Rayna is gonna stick around in New Orleans for a little bit before she realizes that Stefan ran, and they're gonna try to fight her, because I think that's what was happening with all of this.
It was a lot. I only watched it once quickly. I should have watched it again, but it looks fun. I have a couple predictions on how Valerie and Stefan end up together in Caroline and Alaric. My prediction is that because Stefan has to go on the run, and instead of living life alone, Valerie just decides to go join him, and Caroline goes with Alaric because Rayna is a threat. They split up, and I predict that it's more of them living a witness protection type of life where they play the cute families and relationships to protect themselves in the cities that they're settling for their backstories to link up, but they're not actually in relationships with each other. But they're just pretending until the threat of Rayna is gone so that they can then go live their normal lives.
I can see that.
When we saw the 3 years forward with Valerie and Stefan, did they say I love you to each other?
They might have, but
need to rewatch that.
And I think that sometimes lines get blurred in this setup. So I'm not saying it's infinite, but I just want to believe that it either started as a thing of let's pretend like we're in relationships to save our lives, and maybe it turned into more. Or maybe it's just them pretending the whole time.
No, I can see that, because in the flash forward we see when she's talking on the phone with Alaric, she's bringing up Stefan still. So obviously
She clearly
still cares about him.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Agreed.
All right, any other predictions?
I don't have a prediction, but I do hope to see the whole Bonnie Enzo thing come about a little bit faster. I just want to see how that comes along.
Me too.
And who did she
And how
lose?
did that? Yeah, who did she lose? How did she end up in the hospital?
Maybe she lost Nora, because Nora's her friend now.
I don't think she would really
Get that crazy?
Yeah. But who else could she have lost?
Someone tweeted me maybe and said maybe it was Elena's body,
but
or
no,
maybe she feels like she let Elena down in some way, and so that's why she was saying I lost.
I saw that as well, but I don't think that's what it is, because now we know that it's fine.
Or better not be in danger again.
What if it's
cut it out?
What if it's something to do with Damon? Because isn't Damon
her best friend?
Yeah, her best friend. So maybe that.
Sorry, they're besties. I love that they said they were besties.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do have a little bit of news and gossip from Julie's blog that I've been reading from every week. I have it on my phone because I didn't have a chance to write down everything. But this week, basically, she explains that she was really busy and had a deadline, so she was kind of lazy with her blog. But she went on Twitter and said, hey, everyone, the first 10 questions that are legit questions about the episodes, I will answer in my blog this week. So she posted some of them, and some of them are really good questions. First one at Abby Fortune wants to know, when will Stereoline reunite in the flash forwards? The answer is they will come face to face in episode 719.
Oh my gosh, it's so far.
That's 6 weeks from now. Stereoline will be reunited in a flash forward. So that means that we're still getting flash forwards in episode 19 when there's only 3 episodes left in the season.
I heard it was
are they
17
doing to
that
me?
we caught up. I thought, no, was that missing?
I mean, this is straight out of the horse's mouth right here. I trust this answer better than anything else.
Guys, maybe we catch up and then we go again flash forward.
I'm gonna kill myself.
At Kendrick Victoria wanted to know, why does Rayna look like Elena? Well, Kendra, the answer is totally blind, and I do mean blind coincidence. It wasn't a resemblance we noticed right away, but once someone pointed it out, all we could do was see it. So we threw in a couple jokes about it, but truthfully, there is no mythological reason for it.
Lies.
Sorry, Sam.
No. Lies. She's
Sorry,
covering
Sam.
her ass.
Sorry,
She's covering
Sam.
her ass.
See,
Happens all
that's
the time.
okay because I don't want to replace Elena.
I'm not saying, but there just needs to be an explanation. It's a little. Oh God! Now that makes me a little angry.
It makes you angry. And then, sorry, there was one more I wanted to read, but I can't. Oh, at who dat F wanted to know, when will you explore Damon? I'm going very gray waiting. She says Bonnie and Damon's friendship is about to hit some fairly major hurdles. He's making bad decisions left and right, and he will make one that impacts Bonnie in horrible ways. He will have to work very hard to earn her forgiveness, and they'll each have to decide how important they are to each other. That's the best I can tell you for now. I can't comment on future pairings because my mind changes a lot.
What did I say? That's probably who she lost.
Damon?
It's gonna be.
You know, Damon making these decisions, he's got to stop.
He does.
Enough is enough. I mean, it's fun when we first met him in season 1 and he's all crazy. What we forgot to remember is that he had also been around for over 100 years and he's still pulling this crap.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So that's just a couple of the questions that she answered. I highly suggest you go to Entertainment Weekly's website and read the whole blog because there's just some really long answers on there, and I don't have time to read it all through. But this was a great episode, and next week is the big crossover. Yeah. So ladies, let the people know where they can find you all week to talk about Vampire Diaries.
You guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Jordana_Morfin.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Katie Campbell. That's Katie with 3 E's Campbell. Instagram at KatieCampbell13 and YouTube.com/KatieCampbellOnline. I have a vlog.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamDavidsonEntertainment.com and on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. And I'm super sorry I could not get to more of your questions. The internet was not working, and I really wanted to see them, but we will be tweeting and commenting all week. Thanks for watching, guys.
And you can find me at the Tiona Hobson on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you check out AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV. Make sure you guys are going on to iTunes and leaving us comments and love. Give us 5 stars because you love us so much and we're pretty. Make sure you comment on there. I promise next week I will read some of the comments on iTunes because we do a lot of shout outs on the YouTube live chat. If you missed the YouTube live chat, we are live Sundays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.